Hello and welcome to another ICS Impulse video. I'm Wendy Crumley Welsh, the product manager for ICS Impulse. Today we're going to talk about customizing your workflow and reviewing patient data. First, let's talk about customizing your workflow, how to set up an automatic protocol. Let's actually go to the software and show you how this is done. So if you scroll down in the nav panel, go to Test Options, and the first tab that comes up is the General tab, and at the top is the Automatic Protocol Setup. So you can turn the automatic protocol on or the automatic protocol off. Now you can set up a test list and still have your automatic protocol off. But if you turn it on, then what it's going to do is you won't have to set up the test, and it'll move from collection screen to collection screen to collection screen. So it sets the test up for you. So you need to decide what your workflow is, and then you put that workflow into the selected tests over here. So for example, here it says Gaze Center. This is with vision. The I with the slash through it is Gaze Center, vision denied. And to select these, you just click on them with your mouse. I did a left click. I can highlight a whole section if I want all of these by holding down my shift key and left clicking, or I can jump around and highlight multiples by holding down the control key and clicking the ones that I want. You can use the arrow key, or you can drag and drop them. Okay, so then let's actually take these back out. We can remove them. You can order. So once you get tests over here, if you think, oh, I didn't put it in the correct order, you can either reorder it by dragging it down, or you can order it by using the up and down keys. And like I just showed you, you can remove tests by using the red X. Once you get your test workflow all set up here, then you're going to come over and you're going to go to Automatic Protocol, and there's your test list. So if I go to Gaze Center, it's already set up for me, Gaze Center. Now the first time that I do the test, it is going to require that one, because torsional was chosen in my test options, that I capture my reference frame. If you've purchased torsional, you would have that as an option. And the other thing is the first test, obviously I need to do my pupil location, and I also need to do my calibration. Now for each subsequent test after that, so we'll just capture, say okay, we'll take the default on calibration. And then if I collected and stopped, then for the next test, and we will save that, let's just put in a fictitious birthday. It's going to automatically go to the next test. See, Gaze Up with vision. And then I start Gaze Up, and then basically it's going to go through each one of my tests, and see it has Gaze Up highlighted. Once I collect that one, the next test will be Gaze Down, and it'll walk through my whole entire test battery for me. Now when will it go to test setup? If you go from a test that has a larger ROI, region of interest for the pupil, 160 by 120, and go to a smaller one, like for example in Head Impulse, which is 100 by 100, then it'll go back to test setup because you need to set up that region of interest and make sure your pupil detection is set correctly. The other thing is it will go back to test setup for LARP and RALP because you need to set the head. So anytime you're moving between a smaller ROI and a larger ROI, or larger to smaller, then it'll go back to test setup. Otherwise, if you do all your gaze tests, for example, left, right, up, down, center, it'll continue just to go collection. It makes the workflow much quicker, less clicking around, and helps you keep track of the tests that you did. So that's a really nice feature, this automatic protocol. If you chose to do another test, like let's say you did Gaze Up, you're on Gaze Up, but you want to skip and do a saccade, you can still go to saccade and choose to run that test instead. Okay? Then you can always come back to your automatic protocol and you know where it left off. Now, if you did the saccade, it's going to assume you want to disregard these, and your next test that it would have highlighted would be the Head Impulse lateral, because it would assume that, oh, you want to do a saccade next? Well, you've done the saccade, so let's go to lateral. Okay? So the automatic protocol is a very, very nice feature that allows you to reduce time in clicking through the software, helps you keep track of what tests have been done, and helps you customize your workflow in your assessment. Let's go back to the PowerPoint. So also under test options, we're not going to go through every single test option on every single tab, but you have tabs. You can change colors, ocular motor module, head impulse module, positional module, etc. And you can change the options under each one of the modules. Changes can be renaming a test. So here it says gaze, but if you don't want to call it gaze and you want to call it something else, you just type in what that something else is. What do you want to call that test? You can set up the duration of the test. You can choose whether you want to do vision denied for all your tests or torsional for all these tests. You can choose whether you want to use head position feedback or synchronized room video. And there's also individual settings for each one of these modules. So for example, on this screen, for the gaze graph, there's obviously settings for the arrow keys in the gaze graph. But there's specific settings for head impulse and specific settings for positional, etc. So all of that can be set up in test options. What's really nice is if you get all that set up, you can then export it and save it somewhere. So you know that if you get another system or you have multiple systems and want to set them all up the same, then you export a file and import it into the next computer, and all of your systems are set up exactly the same. And then the last thing is reviewing patient data. So once you've tested your whole workflow on your patient, then you can go into collected tests under the test list, and you'll see all the data that's been collected on that patient. So for each test date, so example here, May 20th. On May 20th, this person had 2 lateral head impulses and 1 suppression head impulse paradigm, lateral. If I had tested them on multiple days, then you would have multiple dates and then all those tests under those dates. And then to review that data, all you do is click lateral and it goes straight to that data. So it's very easy to review the patient data by using collected tests. And that's it for customizing and reviewing patient data.